So my name is Ruby Mejia. I'm currently teaching Spanish at Estancia High School in Costa Mesa, and I attended Segestrom High School, and I graduated from California State University, Fullerton.
What were your high school years like, and what were some of the challenges you faced? Like, what was your personality per se?
So I was a really shy kid. I was super shy. I didn't really like to talk. I hated presentations. I was probably that like quiet kid that sat in the back and just paid attention the whole class but said nothing at all. And throughout freshman year, that was mostly my personality. I don't think I broke out of that until like end of sophomore year. Like after I had joined cross country and track and field, I kind of started feeling a little bit more comfortable speaking up. And then after applying for the Simon Scholarship, like I really broke out of my shell. Um, I think I think it impacted my personality so much for junior and senior year. I felt more comfortable in my skin. I felt more comfortable talking. And they kind of like really taught me different leadership qualities that I had, and I didn't think I had them. I didn't see them in myself. And as far as like challenges, I always like to say that like I've never known like real struggle. That I've learned to just play with the cards that I was dealt. But I think as far as high school, just like my daily routine was tough. I used to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and I would go to work with my dad, and he would open up his work, get the machine started, because he's a machine operator. And then after that, he would drop me off at school at 7:30. I'd go to class from 8 to 2, go to practice 2 to 5. I'd come home, make dinner, um, and then from there, we would go and visit my mom at New Orange Hills. It's a nursing facility where she was staying. Yeah, and it was like day in, day out. It was the same routine. We'd be at my mom's from 7 to 11, and then we would come home. And sometimes I'd take my homework. Sometimes I'd do it, sometimes I wouldn't. But I think it was just that the biggest challenge was just managing my time and also staying positive, because I know you guys might not know like my whole background story, but definitely trying to stay focused in a nursing facility where something's always happening, um, either with your own family or with the patients around. Like it's hard to really stay focused and concentrate and worry about school when so much other stuff is going on in life. That I think that was my biggest challenge, just staying focused, making sure that I didn't let my circumstances become an excuse to not be successful.
What was your motivation like throughout all this? Like, what was it that pushed you to keep going?
So many things. I wanted to be more than a housewife. That was my main motivation. Two, I come from immigrant parents. So just knowing their story, knowing everything that they sacrificed, like, knowing that my dad came to this country at 14 years old with no more than a first grade education, that, he used to sleep under train benches. He used to work 3 jobs just to pay the rent. Like knowing those things were huge motivation to me. I wanted to do something positive with my life to make those sacrifices worthwhile.
Throughout high school, for most people, this is like a development period, like where you find out what are the things that you enjoy doing and seeing what you want to pursue. So, when you went into high school, did you already have an idea of what you wanted to do, or was it all a learning process?
Oh man, it was a total learning process. Um, I think I wanted to be a million and one things when I was in high school. And I didn't want to settle on one. I wanted to be a psychologist, teacher, astronaut, politician, everything all wrapped up in one. Uh, and I think throughout high school, I started narrowing down my skill set and what I had to offer, and maybe what career would fit me best. I originally thought I wanted to go into psychology, and I thought that was going to be the field for me. I was going to become a psychologist, focus on like adolescent psychology, and that was going to be it. But when I got to college, it wasn't so simple. I didn't fall in love with the career that I thought I had found, right? And I ended up moving towards education.
Were there any outside factors that like influenced what you wanted to be? Like I know a lot of parents tell their kids like, "Oh, you should be a lawyer or a doctor or this or that."
I don't think my father ever told me, like, hey, you have to be this. But I think I had so many influential educators, good and bad, um, that made me really push for a career in education. You know, a lot of my family is in the education field. I now have brothers who are teachers and counselors, and sister-in-laws who are also teachers or work at some capacity in a school. And I think I saw how much they enjoyed working with kids, and I had always enjoyed working with kids, that their passion kind of rubbed off on me, and I ventured into the field more. So I think my family more than anything really inspired me.
You mentioned that you and your dad are first generation. Preparing for college, how did that affect you? I know for a lot of people, they don't really get the guidance until later. Most like me in the Simon College program, I didn't get any guidance until, I mean, junior year, right? Was that the same case for you for high school?
Oh, definitely. I think throughout all my schooling, I mean, since middle school, I would register for my classes. I would sign up, I would fill out the paperwork, and obviously, I would tell my dad, hey, sign here, I need this to go to school. Same thing in high school. You know, he'd never heard of SATs, he didn't know what the Common App was. Financial aid was a taboo. It was almost an insult because it's kind of like somebody's giving you money because you can't afford it. So all these things were new to him, and they were new to me. And figuring them out was so confusing and so frustrating sometimes. Um, and it's true, you know, you're supposed to start planning for college as soon as you enter high school. But when you receive the scholarship, you're already on your third year, well, end of your second year, going into your third year. By that time, you're like, man, I should already have all these plans. So it's a little bit harder to navigate at first. But definitely, once I did get the scholarship, a lot of the guidance and help came from them. They really did explain what I needed to get into college. But yeah, no, before that, it was a complete struggle. I was totally lost.
So now being like guided by Simon Scholars, what were some steps that you took to prepare for college? Because there are many ways to prepare for to go to college, whether that's focusing on your extracurriculars or taking harder classes or getting involved in the community. What were the steps that you took?
I think I was definitely a little bit more ambitious once I got the scholarship because I saw like a light at the end of the tunnel. So I did take honors courses and AP classes in order to prepare for that rigor of college. But I think the scholarship offers so many opportunities. At least when I went through it, I know that they had a financial seminar on how to budget your money. We had SAT prep, and we had meetings like every other week or once a month to check on our grades, make sure everything was good. And I think that that constant guidance, along with the SAT prep, along with the workshops that they offered us, um, and on top of that, like even the networking opportunities, I really think those helped prepare me for college and to be not only academically prepared, but also socially prepared so that I wouldn't be afraid to ask my professors questions, or I wouldn't be afraid to raise my hand in class if I didn't get something. And also, like financially, like knowing how to manage your money when you're a poor college student living off of maruchanes, um, like it's a really important aspect. Like, you know, it's something that till this day I still put into practice some of those things that I learned in all the workshops.
You mentioned that you went to Cal State Fullerton, right?
Yes.
How did you decide that Cal State Fullerton was the college that you wanted to attend?
Well, they were the first one to accept me. So I had a little bit more time to consider them. And I also got to visit the campus. So one of my brothers actually took me down there to look at the campus, and I was like, "Whoa, this is so cool!" Right? Um, and also, like a lot of other factors, it was close to home. I was still gonna be able to spend time with my family. I was still gonna be able to visit my mom regularly. So all those things played a factor in me choosing Cal State Fullerton.
When did those factors become, well, actual factors? Because I know for a lot of students, we don't really think about all those extra traits or things. If I go to a local college instead of one that's farther away, we don't really think about those until it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go across the country to that school. When did they become real factors?
Man, I think probably not till senior year, the last few months after I had like received one or two acceptance, and I was waiting on a few other responses. I didn't actually start considering it until probably May of my senior year. Like, hey, whatever college I choose, um, if I choose to go halfway across the country, like I'm not gonna be able to see my family. Um, and sometimes those factors become even more real when the people in your life are also like, where are you gonna go? Why are you gonna leave us? Kind of deal. When you come from a close knit family, um, it's kind of hard to say, hey, I I want to go to college and I'm gonna go halfway across the country, or it's even hard to say I'm gonna go to college and it's 30 minutes away, but I won't be home all the time. But I don't think I thought about all that until the moment when I was making the decision, and I wish I had thought about it sooner. But I think sometimes you're so worried about just getting in that you don't consider those factors beforehand.
For our current like high school students or current high school scholars, do you have like any advice for them and when they're choosing like to go to like a certain college or university?
I think my biggest advice is make sure you look at everything that college offers before you put limits on your decision. For me, it was important to stay close to home. Personally, sometimes I wish I had gone further away, but I'm glad I made the choice I did. But for those students that are still trying to decide what college they're going to go to, I would advise them to really look into what program they're interested in and check out the programs at all the colleges that have accepted them. And don't just choose the college that is closest to you or the college you feel more comfortable with because it lets you stay home. Choose the college that offers the program that will best benefit you. Something I learned throughout college is that no matter what, family is always going to be there. If they're there for you now, they're going to be there for you at the end of your career. Um, Friends will wait, and you will keep in contact with friends, but you will never be able to go back and redo the 4 years of college that you've already spent, right? So consider all the factors that are beneficial to your career, beneficial to your personal growth. Because at the end of the day, that decision impacts really only one person. It impacts you and your future and your goals, your aspirations. So I think that's the biggest advice I can give them.
When making the decision for which college you're going to go to, was it a difficult decision? Were there other colleges that accepted you that were really close to being the ones you chose?
I applied to a few other private colleges. I don't even remember their names now. I do remember I was between Cal State Long Beach and Cal State Fullerton, and it was a really hard decision because if I chose Cal State Long Beach, I would move out there, and I wouldn't live at home. And my family's very traditional. My father's been very traditional, so it was a huge deal for me to move out um, just for college, supposedly, right? So that made the decision very difficult because I didn't want to cause tensions with my family by moving away. Um, so I think that was difficult for me. But at the end, it really came down to how much financial aid were they giving me? How much was I going to spend on gas driving back and forth if I wasn't going to live out in Long Beach? Um, so at the end of the day, I opted for what was closer, what was more convenient to me.
Heading into college, you kind of had an idea of what you wanted to do, or you knew what you wanted to do, right?
Yeah, I thought I wanted to do psychology. I mean, I always liked the field of education, but like I said at the beginning, I was very shy in high school, like really shy. So imagining standing in front of a room of 30 plus kids made me nervous. So I thought going into college, like, no, I'm not gonna go in as a teacher. I'll never make it. These kids are gonna eat me alive. Let me just stick to psychology because it's a one-on-one kind of thing, um, and I think I could be good at it. Right? I was interested in that field, so I had an idea, but that idea changed once I got to college.
What led to it? Was it your classes, or is it your classmates, your teachers? What steers you towards being a teacher?
I think a little bit of everything geared me towards that. Obviously, my family being in the education field, just like the college courses that I took, I was required to take a course in a foreign language for college credits. And I had already like done Spanish and AP, so I was like, easy A, let me take this course and be done with it. And I walked into the course, like Spanish 200 something. Um, and immediately when I walked in, I felt like I was home. The people were so welcoming. The professor, he was awesome and so knowledgeable. That he just inspired me. I was in awe in my first class, and then I loved like it. It just felt like home. So I decided to take another course with the same professor. And by the second course, I was like, oh, definitely, I am changing my major. I'm not gonna be a psychologist. Like, I'm gonna see where these Spanish classes take me. And I had always been interested in teaching. I never thought that I would survive the classroom, um, and so I didn't immediately go in. But by the time I was like in my second year and I had taken these Spanish courses, I had also been coaching for a while at my high school, and I had already been working with youth, and I loved it. I loved every day of it. I love the spontaneity. I love learning from them, and I love that there was just a need for guidance and a need of like his young Hispanic representation, both female and male. And I thought, I love coaching. I love working with youth. I love my Spanish courses. Why not teach Spanish at a high school? I specifically wanted to work with teenagers. I know, crazy, right? But so like that really pushed me towards education.
What were some things that made it really difficult for you, or not very difficult, but challenging to get where you wanted to be?
Yes, there were a lot of challenges. I think whenever you're trying to pursue something to better yourself, there are always challenges. Part of it was, balancing my time between work, family, and school. And I wasn't always able to do it. I'm a terrible time manager sometimes, and I get overwhelmed trying to do a million and one things. On top of that, it was also like completing assignments. Once I had gotten my BA and had to go into the credential program, you're talking about really like vigor- rigorous assignments that require you to do a tremendous amount of research. And it's no longer just, hey, I want to be a teacher. It's like, oh, how are you going to be a great teacher? How do you know that the lessons you plan are going to be good? And so at times it was a total like overwhelming experience, and I was on the brink of a mental like breakdown because I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to teach. Can I just teach? I just want to be in the classroom and educate people. I don't want to do the whole background investigations and the research and the data. So sometimes that was really tough, keeping that passion alive, and knowing that, the career that I chose is not always just a smooth road, right? There's always ups and downs. And then there was also personal struggles. You know, Sometimes you have a plan for your life, and the road that you see is just straight. But life isn't like that. And, I thought I would go from high school straight into college, graduate in 4 years, piece of cake. I'd be out, have a job. But along the way, different things happen. At the end of my third year in college, my mom passed away, and that was a major hit for me, because throughout all my schooling, throughout life, I had always imagined that, my mom would be at all the major events in my life. And so it was finals week, and it's a crucial point for grades. And that wasn't even the important thing. I was not even worried about school at the moment. I was just focused on my mom's health, and just there was a hope alive in me that she would make it through, and that it was just another hiccup in the road, and she was going to be fine. And unfortunately, my mother ended up passing away in May of my third year. And at first I was like, um I'm just gonna end here. I've gone to college, I can do something and just stay close to home. Like, I didn't have any motivation to keep going to school. I didn't have the focus to do anything. uh, and it was just, I can't even put it into words. Losing somebody that you love is the hardest thing that you can experience, and so it was a major roadblock for me. But I think after dealing with all the emotions that come with losing somebody, I decided, you know what, I didn't work this hard just to throw it away. And that's not what she would have wanted. And at the end of the day, sometimes what you want the most is worth fighting twice as hard for. um, so yeah, there were a lot of struggles along the way in my personal life, um, in my professional, like, life, in my academic life. um, but I think what defines you the most is how you learn to overcome those challenges. There's always going to be something new, that comes up, something hard to get over, uh, something something that really just breaks you. And you learn to just kind of pick up those pieces and keep working towards what you want in life. And sometimes it's not easy, um, but it's definitely worth it.
From your surroundings, was this a common thing that happened or that you would see happen within college students? Like, not saying that somebody's relative passed away or something like that, but did you see struggles throughout a lot of the students in your classes or just in your college overall?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, as a teacher, I think when you have 36 different personalities in your class, there are constant struggles. You never know what your students are going through. And I mean, I can only imagine what some of them are going through because they speak to me. But yeah, no, I think I've encountered so many people that have faced challenges. In my classroom, I encounter kids every day who are facing their own personal challenges, whether that be with themselves, with family, with friends. And throughout life, I I think I surrounded myself with people who were constantly going through struggles and looking to move forward. You know, Early on, I had friends who struggled financially and moved from house to house. I had friends who had to choose between, staying focused in school or, joining a gang. I think throughout life you meet so many people with a lot of different challenges. Uh, and they're definitely an inspiration, especially those who fight to move forward and find something better for themselves.
From what I hear, you see a lot of these things going on a lot. What would you say is your motto? What is something that you always tell students or people that are having struggles? What would you tell them?
I think there's a lot of things I tell my kids, but I think like my biggest motto in my classroom and in life is that mistakes are proof that you're trying. And in order to learn, you need to make mistakes. And that's okay. It's okay if you fail 101 times, if that last time you learn something from it and you can do something different that's going to help you out, right? I think sometimes we're so afraid to make mistakes, to make the wrong choice, um, to not be good enough because we didn't take that extra AP class or because we didn't get that 110% on the exam. I think my biggest motto is make as many mistakes as you can and learn from them because nobody's perfect. And sometimes trying to be that image of perfection is so much more draining than being yourself and being accepted for who you are.
What are your aspirations and goals now?
My next step is I would love to get my master's. And I would love to get a master's in bilingual education. Specifically, I want to focus on heritage learners, which are, third third generation Spanish speakers, and it's a whole nother ball game with them. So I would like to get my master's next. Like immediate goals, I would like to teach AP Spanish. Um, but I think my biggest aspiration is just to be a great educator. Like I I think I work tirelessly trying to be be a guidance for my students. And I think that's what drives me every day. Um, and I think that's what's going to inspire the rest of my career. Just what can I do every day to just be a better educator, to create better human beings, or at least help guide them.
How often do your goals or aspirations change?
Short-term goals, they change rapidly. My long-term goals, as far as like my master's and career aspirations, I think they're they're further down the road and those don't change. Like it's something to aim for. Short-term aspirations, I change them weekly. I want to do something different. I want to work on some part of myself weekly. And what I aspire to be this week or what I aspire to learn this week might be different from what I want to do next week because life is ever changing and it's important to self reflect and really look at what do you want to work on in this moment? And it might be different than what you want to work on tomorrow.
If you could describe your college experience in one word, what would it be?
I think eye opening.
What is some advice you would give all the current scholars?
I think a lot of our scholars are first generation graduates. They'll be the first in their family to go to college and to graduate from college with a degree. And probably they're first to actually go into a career that will last a lifetime. And I think sometimes as a first generation scholar, the biggest struggle is asking for help. When you don't know something or when you can't figure something out on your own. So my biggest advice is if you have a question, ask it. There's an answer. If you're feeling overwhelmed, reach out to somebody. You're never alone in that feeling. And if you don't enjoy the first major that you choose, don't be afraid to change it. And if you change it and you don't like the second one, change it again until you find something that you're passionate about. But above all, like never doubt yourself, because you guys are capable of so much more than you think you are. I guess that's like my biggest advice.
Would you like to tell us anything else you want to share, Miss Mejia?
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm a huge like advocate of the scholarship. I'm so grateful to them for everything. And I know that my students know it because I'm always like, apply for the scholarship. But constantly like, hey, how's so and so doing? But man, being a Simon Scholar is such a great opportunity in itself. Like I'm just so grateful to be a part of a foundation, and not even that. I don't like saying foundation. To be a part of a family that is so interconnected and so willing to help as soon as you say like I'm struggling, like they'll jump at the opportunity to help you out. um so like for every scholar, I think they should take advantage of those connections and truly build connections with one another, build connections with the staff, because this isn't just any ordinary scholarship. This isn't just like, hey, here's a paycheck, go to college, make something of yourself. It's really a network of people who care about you, who are willing to support you. And if you take the time to get to know everyone and to truly build those connections, then you're going to have somebody who's going to back you up for the rest of your career, the rest of your life. So I don't know. I'm proud to be a Simon Scholar. I hope all of you guys are proud to be a Simon Scholar.
Thank you, Miss Mejia, for giving us some of your time to like answer our questions and have this interview so we can share this with our other scholars. Thank
Thank
you.
you.